everybody, Zen here, bringing you more patch 2.0 content on the PTS. This is all pre-recorded footage. We are here in hard mode Scum and Villainy doing Titan 6. Now, we're here with the guild. We came in here and basically didn't know anything about the hard mode fights at all and just decided to figure it out for ourselves, and we had a lot of success with that. But with that being said, none of this should be taken as a guide because, for one, we're probably not doing this as efficiently as we should, and two, the fights are most likely going to change before they are actually released in any form or another, which may change the strategy. So with this, there are a couple things that are different between story mode and hard mode, as you might expect. The first thing is a debuff he puts on tanks. It's right after this this phase that you see here. So you see all the red circles on the ground, and then I have my other tank taunt. I'll explain all of that in a second. And it puts a giant circle on him, and he just books it. He runs away, and he takes the damage. It does a lot of damage, and as soon as that happens, I taunt back. And the reason why is because he'll continue to taunt or attack that person while the grenade's going off. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that the launch is much quicker, and you'll see it right after this. Now, the cast time on launch is about half of what it was, I think, from story mode. So you've got to be quick to get behind the rocks. And then the second part of that is that the rocks can only support one person now. In story mode, you're able to get a couple people behind a rock, and it would be fine. That's no longer the case. So what you kind of have to do now is you could assign rocks, or you could just have a group that understands, hey, there's a person over there. They're probably going for that rock. I probably shouldn't steal their rock. And for the most part, we have that kind of group. I had to assign the melee DPS to a rock because they couldn't figure it out. However, that being said, everybody else did great. So those are the two main mechanics you have to worry about. He still does the missiles, as you saw there, and he still does the targeting thing, so he'll put the little targets on the ground and do those missiles. Just the addition of the grenade makes it a bit more difficult, and same with, I mean, it's just more damage in general and everything like that. So let me kind of explain why we did certain things the way we did, so you're not going in here and totally wiping yourselves because you're doing it our way. In fact, I wouldn't suggest anybody do it our way unless you have the same group composition as we do. Now, what's going to happen is when he does the grenade, and you'll see it, I have the other tank taunt. Our other tank is an assassin. He can completely mitigate the grenade damage, which is a lot of damage, by doing his little cloak thing that he does, and he's able to completely mitigate all of it, which is great. That's awesome. Now, if you're a Juggernaut, you could do the same thing. If you know when to cast it, you could do your reflect, and it'll reflect the damage, which is awesome. And then the last thing you could do is if you're a power tech, or I guess the equivalents on the other side, then you could just pop your energy shield. You could do a couple other things here and there as well to keep your HP up. So there's a few things for each tank to be able to keep yourselves alive. However, the easiest thing in general is simply just to either be a Juggernaut or to be an assassin. You can absorb all that damage. Now, where the problem comes in is when he's, or right after he does, I guess, no, it's right before he does the first little missile thing where he just shoots missiles everywhere. He knocks the tank into the ground. This is normally a tank swap where he loses aggro and he goes to the next person with aggro. So normally the other tank would either taunt or just have aggro. Thankfully, because our tank is already taunted at the beginning of the fight, he naturally has aggro during that. You can break out of the stun and taunt him back if you're the main tank, and that's what I do most of the time. But for the most part, you're going to want to tank swap there. Naturally, that's what you're going to want to do. But that's not what you should do. You should only tank swap on the grenade. So keep that in mind. You can also kind of move it back and forth. Say if you have two power tech tanks, one could use their energy shield for the grenade, and then the next one would get the other grenade. So like after he's already switched spots, you can get the other tank to get the other grenade. So that's pretty much covers that mechanic in its entirety and why we chose to do what we did with the taunts and all that. As for the ads in the middle, you could see that I had the entire group just stack up. They were always going to go for our operative healers, his heal over times. That's what's going to happen. It's like a druid healer in WoW. They're always going to go for the person with the hots because it's just creating the most heal aggro. So we had everybody stack up real quick. The DPS would AoE him down, and then the healers and stuff would spread back out and come back and heal me, and that seemed to work really well for us. The last thing is when the launch happens, which will be after the grenade. You always know the launch is going to happen, just as a note, because it's right after the last missile phase. So he'll do this grenade, he'll start casting his missiles, and what will happen is he'll launch. So you want to be close to a rock already. If you're a melee, you can already be near the rock and just get behind it real quick. Now, you see the launch is going to happen right after this missiles, and sure enough, there's the launch. So you can use all sorts of things to get behind the rocks, just don't stack up with other people because it'll knock them out, at least on hard mode. You can also outrun that wave if you're quick enough and get to another rock, so keep that in mind, because it's that wave that does the damage. It's not actually the launch itself, it's the after effect, I guess. For this last part, we just once again stacked up, AoE'd the ads down real quick. I got one on me. It's pretty easy to take care of. If that happens, just burn it down real quick afterwards. As a tank, you're always going to want to face him away from the group because he's going to be doing that big stompy AoE thing, so keep that in mind. As far as that goes, that's the entire hard mode fight. He will go into his burn phase here. What we did is we spread everybody out because these missiles do a ton of freaking damage and they do an AoE thing. So what we do is we spread everybody out, including the melee, in the little circle thing, and we just healed as much as possible and burned them as much as possible, and that's the way we did it. With if you had like 2 Marauders, which we would normally have with our normal group composition, you would burn, you know, any of the berserks or whatever they're called, the lusts, the bloodlusts. Look, I don't know the name. I don't play a Marauder, and just burn them down as quickly as possible here, because this is the burn phase. If you get to that last phase where he's standing in the middle, as you saw, and he goes to do another grenade, you're behind. You need to catch up on DPS. So that's a good indicator of that. You don't want him doing a grenade there. A grenade should never happen. If the grenade doesn't happen there, you're on top of the DPS, and you'll be able to push him through the center here. So that's pretty much the entire fight. There you go, on hard mode. It's really fun. I like it a lot more. It's more hectic, which is what I wanted out of this fight on hard mode. And overall, it was just well balanced. I felt like it wasn't too difficult, but it wasn't too easy at all. You had to have the correct group coordination in order to take them down. And we actually got quite a bit further than this. We're working on the puzzle boss right now in hard mode. As I make this video, we'll probably have it done by next week. So we have a few other bosses to be able to show you guys this weekend, which would be really sweet. He drops the loot that you saw there. Nothing too exciting. And on that note, we shall see you guys next time.